All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, sisters, you too, it's Pastor Dow. I want to talk to you about something I recently just came across. And there's a movement out there called MGTOW. Now, rather than, I tell you what it means is men going their own way. And what they are doing is opting out of traditional marriage. Now, first of all, if you listen to me, if you want to get any kind of wisdom whatsoever at all, and if you really truly want to enjoy marriage, the last thing you need to do is enter into a third party contractual agreement with the state, because this is where men get the proverbial screws put to them, because the state desires to be in your life as much as possible. But what this is about is that these are men who have either been burnt by women, or they are looking at the attitudes of women today, and they're choosing to not do the traditional family lifestyle thing. They're choosing to immerse themselves into their careers, video games, and if they want any type of entertainment, they just simply go get a prostitute or something like that. But the one thing they will not do is deal with all the emotional roller coasters, the ups and downs, and having all their substance sucked out of them by having a traditional family. That's what this is all about. Now, while I do not agree with their sentiments, I understand what they're doing. But if you're going to build a strong society, it's all about being able to reproduce. And with the challenges of today, with there being more women than men, and then the field for women to be able to choose a high quality man is becoming less and less and less. And of course, then a lot of women, if they have a high quality man, or if they're able to get a high quality man, they don't know how to keep them, because there's this spirit inside of them today that wants to just literally wreck everything that is good in front of them. And so a good man is, it's hard to sustain today, because you think about it. If a man gets divorced today and he ends up in divorce court and he has any substance, you know what's going to happen, right? He's going to pay alimony. And of course, the men today are looking at how the laws are saddled today against them. And so rather than choosing to get into this quagmire, to where there's nothing but total confusion and stuff, they're totally opting out of traditional family. Now, America is literally going to fail if this movement continues to keep growing, because apparently this is a very big movement out there, and I'm surprised I wasn't aware of it. It was actually brought to my attention, but it's happening worldwide, and of course, whether women like it or not, you do need men to populate. You need men to take away your reproach. And these men, they just simply do not want to play all these games. I was listening to a video here this morning, and this man was explaining the stages of life. And let me try to explain to you. When you're young, let's say you go from 20 to 40. Okay, when you're young, that's the time of your life when you should really truly be working hard and trying to establish yourself. And of course, you're still foolish, especially in your 20s. And as he stated, it's so true, because when you're in your 20s and you're thinking about, or if you're thinking ahead to your 50s, most people don't think ahead of that, because it's so far away. And it's like standing on one side of the mountain trying to see the other side of the mountain. And it's really, truly hard. It's very hard, and it's very difficult to actually see the other side. So, when you're 20s and stuff, and you're too busy running with the friends and the boys, being foolish and fighting, fussing, arguing, and carrying on and stuff, like you still like teenagers. But then you're not really truly so much concerned about cultivating relationships when you should be. And friendships that would, last you a lifetime, because whether we like it or not, we need people in this life. We really truly need people in this life. And of course, my advice I would offer to many of you out there is, what are you doing to try to make sure that you're cultivating strong relationships? So by the time you get like 55 years old, you're not going to be running to the club. You're not going to be going to the amusement park. You're not going to be sitting down playing video games. all these things that you used to do when you're younger. You're not going to work as hard physically like you did in your 20s. Hopefully you did that to establish yourself because you're already established. And so you're a whole lot more settled, a whole lot more mature, and now you're thinking about the last third of your life because if you haven't been instrumental in maintaining a quality of life through, being conscious of health, which is very hard to do in such a toxic environment that we find ourselves in today, it's going to be a rude awakening. So that's the reason why you see sometime, a lot of people around my age, they're a little bit more serious about their spirituality, and they're very serious because, they have lived a young life. And then they can see over the other side better than they could when they were 20. Because when you're 20, you're not thinking about 70 years old. That's so far away. But I used to think 40. I used to think 50 years old was, man, that's old and over the hill. Well, I'm here. I'm right here at the door. 50 years old. I'm knocking on it hard. And I'm like, man, you know what? As I sit back and think, and I've amassed a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge through experience and through pains and hurts in life. And I begin to think, there's not one day that I would ever want to repeat and go back to again. I would not want to repeat those years again. Why? Because I have more knowledge, I have more wisdom and more understanding of what's going on. And so I wouldn't want to repeat those years again because I'm a wiser man simply. As a wiser man, I can look at the younger generation and I can tell them what other people would not offer them. I can tell them about relationships. I can instruct them about marriage. I can tell you the right moves you should make. That's providing if you want to hear my counsel, because after all, I'm a pastor. I'm a little bit different pastor than other people think. I'm a set-apart pastor that actually lives a very quiet and peaceful life, and I worked very hard when I was younger to get to this part right here, to this place right here. And so, I'm thinking about plenteous, and not only, I've lived my life really truly not thinking about so much my own selfish ambitions and dreams and stuff. I really put those down to actually make sure that I live my life to be some type of positive influence and to bring some type of effect and change in others' lives. And so in order to do that, that means I've had to literally crucify my own personal life and well-being in order to instruct others. And I don't mind telling you that when you have a heart, and people would tell you that my heart is bigger than Texas. When you have a heart like mine, it gets hurt often. It gets hurt often and a lot, but I have to actually straighten myself up. I have to talk to the Father and stuff and keep my focus and maintain my integrity, knowing that what I'm doing is right, because people, rather than dealing with truth, they would rather try to coerce, manipulate, and have you to do whatever in their world the way that they think it ought to be done. And they, people use feelings and emotions. And I know I'm saying all this to talk about this men going their own way, this MGTO. But when you look at the state of women today, young men, they're really truly investigating this thing and they're making an informed decision. Do I really truly want to have a love affair and get married and settle down with this woman, have children by this woman, and I go to work, I have all my substance sucked out of me in order, this is their perspective now, in order to take care of this woman and children that comes from this woman. I pour my life into them. As a parent, I've had 2 children of my own. And I can tell you that as soon as you have your children, everything changes up here. Everything you do in your life, you want to raise those children. You want to bring those children up the right way. You want to make sure that they are well educated, well informed, and then you teach them about the system that they're involved in this world. You want to do everything you can to make sure that you try to keep them from as much as pain as possible, because they're young, but yet they're going to have their own experiences in life. And most people just simply don't believe in these experiences that us old hoary-headed people are telling them, because they have not lived it yet. But when, as a young man, I like to think I was wise, because I paid attention to wise people. I used to sit and look at their life and see what they were doing. I paid attention to them. But these men are saying, man, and basically what it is to me, in my own personal opinion, it's kind of a selfish movement. But I do understand of them not wanting to deal with all the mind games, the manipulation, the coercion. They don't want to deal with no women screaming and hollering and carrying on and using them and abusing them. And of course, then in this society, people say, well, what about the woman? Listen, I'm not talking about the woman, right? I'm talking about this movement right here that says MGTOW, men going their own way. And women, the field is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. You have men that are incarcerated, men with these wars, these unwarranted wars that our government continue to keep amassing and trumping up and using propaganda to get you stirred up to go and fight against somebody 5,000 miles away that ain't did a damn thing to you. And your sons are buried and they play taps at his funeral and stuff, and you get a flag at the end of it. That's what you get. It's amazing. And of course, Federal Reserve knows don't mean anything. If they had an SGLI to give you $110,000 and stuff, and by the time, $110,000 ain't what you think it is nowadays with all this amassing debt. But what do they care? I mean, after all, they can print money to infinity. $110,000 to ensure your life is really not nothing at all. That's letting you know how much they think about your life, $110,000. But when you start to think about this, men that are incarcerated, men that get shot in gangs, men that are murdered, men in war, men that end up with AIDS and succumb to gangs, and men who choose an alternative gay homosexual lifestyle. And now you have this movement coming up here, MGTO, men going their own way. Women, it's not looking good for you at all. Well, I don't need no man. Well, that's what they all say. They tell you that. That's what they say. They try to think that they're really strong and independent. But the truth is, you've been created a certain way. And that's called to help, to be a helpmeet. And you can fight against it and resist against it all you want, all your life and stuff. But I promise you one thing, you will not be successful, because by the time you get 50, 60 years old, you look back over your life and you see that you wasted your years of flowering where you were able to produce children. And you've had this strong veneer, this strong attitude in front of you. And you so-called protected yourselves from the men or whatever it is, and you can't find a good man, and the women say, I can't find no good man. But it's harder, even much more harder today for a man to find a good woman that is going to help him. Well, I understand the sentiments on both sides and stuff, but I'm telling you, America is in some serious trouble, because you cannot keep a country going if the people are not producing seed. And since we are a country that's full of immorality, the seed that is being produced today is not a promising seed. And you look at the rebellion that's in the children today. I mean, strong rebellion against authority. It seems like everything that we're faced with in life, everybody wants to rebel against authority. We need to ask ourselves a question. Why is this behavior prevalent? Why is it happening today? I mean, what in the world is going on? Are we that inconsiderate? Are we that selfish? Are we that insecure? I can go on and on and on with the superlatives, but you know what? Some inward evaluation. I mean, really, truly putting yourself in the crosshairs and really, truly doing some inward looking and being careful about what's going on today. Because I see an animalistic nature being developed all over the place. I see people's hearts are getting harder. And I see the love of many is really waxing cold, all because everybody is doing whatever they can to insulate and protect themselves from the next person. I want to get a little bit more educated on this subject right here, and I'm going to report to you. I'm going to talk to you about this, because I'm sure I can draw some narratives, especially a lot of good conclusions from this right here, because I'm telling you, this is a war against humanity as a whole.